There is a quiet arrogance in the way we live now. We have made the night optional. We have made the day optional too. Offices glow at a fraction of outdoor brightness. Bedrooms glow with the leftover day of other people's screens. We congratulate ourselves on conquering darkness, as if darkness were only an inconvenience. Then we wonder why we cannot sleep, why winter flattens us, why children become nearsighted in rooms that never dim, why a night shift can rearrange a life more thoroughly than a bad diet. Light is not merely what makes the world visible. It is the oldest environmental signal the animal body ever learned to trust. Before clocks, before calendars, before language, there was the turning of the earth. The comforting idea is that the body is a machine running on food and willpower, and that light is only scenery. The more accurate picture is stranger. The body is a timed organism. Light is how it knows what time it is. For most of medical history, the eye was understood as a camera. Light enters, an image forms, the brain interprets. That story is true, and incomplete. In the late 1990s, researchers found that some people who were functionally blind, people whose rods and cones were gone, could still suppress melatonin when light hit their eyes. Their pupils still responded. Their body clocks still shifted. Something else in the retina was counting photons without making a picture. A sparse population of cells. They contain melanopsin, most sensitive to blue cyan light, the color of a clear day. These cells do not exist to tell you that the sky is beautiful. They exist to tell the brain that it is day. Their message travels to a cluster of neurons no larger than a grain of rice, the master clock. From there, time is broadcast to the pineal gland, which makes melatonin, to the adrenals, which time cortisol, to the liver, the gut, the immune cells, the fat. Nearly every organ keeps its own clock. Those clocks stay coherent only if the master clock is reset by light. Light does not give you energy in the poster sense. Light, arriving at the right hour, tells thousands of molecular oscillators that they still live on a planet with a 24-hour day. When that message is late, or weak, or contradictory, the organs do not stop working. They drift out of agreement with one another. The eye is not only an organ of sight. It is a clock face turned toward the sky. Popular culture has reduced melatonin to a gummy you take when a flight is long. In the body, it is something more architectural. As evening comes and light fades, the pineal gland is released from inhibition. Melatonin rises in the dim hours before sleep, peaks in the middle of the biological night, and falls toward morning. It does not knock you unconscious. It informs tissues that it is night. Lower the core temperature. Reduce alertness. Open the gate for sleep. Change the tone of immune surveillance and cellular repair. Light at the eye suppresses that message. The suppression is strongest for short wavelengths, violet and blue, but a bright, warm lamp is not innocent, and a dim, cool lamp is not automatically guilty. Intensity matters. Duration matters. So does the day you already had. A person who has spent the hours indoors, in dim light, is often more sensitive to evening light than a person who has been outside. The circadian system is not a switch. It is a comparison. In 2022, researchers proposed numbers that should be more famous than they are. During the day, at the eye, at least 250 melanopic lux. In the 3 hours before bed, no more than 10. In the room where you sleep, preferably under 1, as dark as is safely possible. Most indoor days fail the first number. Most indoor evenings fail the second. We have built a photic climate that is too dim when we need day and too bright when we need night. If you remember only one structural idea, let it be this. The health problem is not screens. The health problem is a collapsed contrast between day and night. Outdoors on a clear day, light can exceed 100,000 lux. A well-lit office is often a few hundred on the desk, and less at the eye if you face a monitor with your back to a window. At night, ancestral darkness was near zero. Now, a kitchen, a bathroom, a phone held 8 inches from the face, a street lamp through thin curtains. Any of these can tell the clock that dawn has come early, or that dusk has been canceled. Light in the late evening pushes the clock later. You want to sleep later, wake later, feel hungry later. Light after sunrise pulls the clock earlier. This is why a walk in the morning is not a lifestyle accessory. It is a timestamp. It advances the clock, sharpens the morning rise of cortisol, and about 14 to 16 hours later, makes it more likely that melatonin will be allowed to rise on time. People who live as evening creatures indoors often describe themselves as not morning people, as if this were a personality. Sometimes it is, written in clock genes, written in the delayed biology of adolescence. Often it is an unstamped clock, delayed a little further each night by light, then punished each morning by an alarm. Tired in the morning, wired at midnight. Not a character flaw. It is what a diurnal mammal looks like when the sun has been replaced by a rectangle. When light is mistimed, sleep fragments. Sleep onset stretches. The deep architecture of the night can thin. That alone would be enough. Sleep is when immune repair is prioritized, memories are consolidated, waste is cleared from the brain. But circadian disruption does not wait politely at the bedroom door. Metabolism is timed. Insulin works better earlier in the biological day. Appetite is not indifferent to whether you are eating at noon or at 1 a.m. under fluorescent tubes. A body that thinks it is day will not handle a midnight meal the way it handles breakfast. The immune system is timed as well. Melatonin is an antioxidant and an immune modulator, not merely a sleep cue. When nocturnal light repeatedly suppresses it, you do not only lose drowsiness, you lose a nightly chemical climate that evolution assumed would arrive. Then there is cancer, where honesty requires both seriousness and restraint. Night shift work has been classified as probably carcinogenic to humans. The human evidence is limited. The animal evidence is stronger. The mechanisms interlock. This is not a reason to panic about a bedside lamp. It is a reason to stop treating a 24-hour light environment as biologically neutral. About 1 in 5 workers in many industrial economies spend part of their labor in the former night. They are not failing at wellness. They are living inside a social structure that asks a diurnal nervous system to pretend it is another species. Seasonal affective disorder is still spoken of as a weather-related sulk. Clinically, it is closer to a neuroendocrine seasonal syndrome. When days shorten, the clock of many people delays. Morning cortisol blunts. Melatonin lengthens, as if the body were being told that night is generous and day is a rumor. The result is not only sadness, it is heaviness, carbohydrate craving, a mind that thinks more slowly. Bright light in the early morning remains a first-line treatment. In older trials, a morning outdoor walk outperformed a low dose of indoor light that was essentially a placebo. The walk did what indoor dimness could not. It moved time. Get some sun, you'll feel better is both a cliche and, in a restricted sense, a mechanism. The mistake is to hear it as moral advice. It is closer to saying your clock is starved of its time giver. The skin is a second, older receiver. Ultraviolet B makes vitamin B, essential for bone, involved more controversially in immune tone, and even in the genes of the clock itself. But if vitamin D were the only gift of the sun, tablets would have settled the question. Large trials have been, for many hoped-for outcomes beyond bone, disappointing. People who get more sun still tend to have better heart and metabolic profiles. One reason is nitric oxide. The skin stores it. Long-wave ultraviolet can mobilize it, relaxing blood vessels, lowering blood pressure by a few millimeters of mercury. Ultraviolet remains a carcinogen. That fact does not vanish. The honest position is uncomfortable and adult. Complete avoidance of sun is not a health strategy. Unrestrained exposure is not one either. In a city of glass and air conditioning, the problem is rarely a lack of noon. It is that people flee into indoor dimness from morning until night, then meet the dark with diodes. The desert has not abolished circadian biology. Air conditioning has only hidden the sky, and children's eyes are growing in the wrong light. Myopia has surged wherever childhood has moved indoors. The protective factor that keeps surviving study after study is time outdoors. Bright outdoor light increases dopamine in the retina. In a developing eye, that dopamine appears to break excessive growth. If the eyeball grows too long, the world beyond arm's length blurs. Notice what this means. The same physical thing, photons, regulates the length of a child's eye, the phase of an adult's clock, the pressure in an artery, and the likelihood of a winter depression. We keep inventing separate industries for each of these, as if they were unrelated hobbies. They are dialects of one environmental language. The internet loves a protocol. 10 minutes of this, 20 of that, glasses of a certain tint, a lamp of a certain color. Some of those tools work. Morning outdoor light is the highest leverage, least mystical intervention available. Dimming and warming the house after dusk is the second. Keeping the bedroom dark is the third. For winter depression, a properly timed light box can be medicine. For shift workers, the problem is harder and more political than any gadget. The job itself is a circadian injury. Mitigation is damage control, not a cure. If light is information, the daily practice is editorial. Seek a strong daylight paragraph in the first hours after waking. Write the afternoon bright enough that the brain does not spend the day in twilight. Edit the evening down. Leave the night almost unwritten. The body is quite good at reading a clear page. It is bad at reading a smudge. None of this requires a return to a fictional pastoral. Hospitals must be lit at 3 a.m. Cities will not switch off. What it requires is a change in category. We already accept that food is not just calories, that air is not just something lungs happen to use, that sleep is not laziness. Light belongs in that company. It is an environmental nutrient whose deficiency is dim days and whose toxicity is bright nights. Strip away the wavelengths and the brand names of lamps, and the subject is time. Light is how a body that cannot see the Earth's rotation still participates in it. When we flatten the day and puncture the night, we do not merely irritate sleep. We scramble the sequence in which a human organism expects to be hungry, alert, fertile, forgetful, or repaired. You cannot negotiate with sunrise. You can only decide whether you will receive it. The cells that contain melanopsin do not care about your deadlines. The pineal gland does not accept calendar invites. They respond to photons, or they do not. To take light seriously is not to become precious about morning routines. It is to notice that we have built a civilization whose indoor climate contradicts the astronomy we still live under. The sun comes up, the sun goes down. In between, a species that can land robots on other planets sits in dim indoor light, then stares into a diode until midnight, and calls the resulting unease anxiety, or aging, or the price of ambition. Some of it is those things. Some of it is simpler. The body is waiting for a signal it used to be able to take for granted. That the day is bright. That the night is dark. And that the difference between them is still the shape of a life.